workshop, Abigail?
For Monday night.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. So our goal is to get 100 people in Baton Rouge and Lafayette. So we're definitely maximizing Abigail's presence here. We just finished a mixer here. How many people do we have? Like a lot. This room was full. So we're really priming the market, for Abigail to be here. And Brian, thank you for giving us your time, your precious time.
And April, awesome. You're from Lafayette. We're going to hit you after Baton Rouge Tuesday night, and just kind of share with Brian what your group has been doing in the area and what you're excited about.
Okay. We have our weekly mix. There, now I'm unmuted. Can you hear me?
I got you. Yeah, you're unmuted.
Okay, so ever since the Dallas, where we had the first breakout sessions, and you and Brian James were talking about having the community, we've had a mixer every single week since then. And I mean, we might have had 2 show up the first week, but like last night we had 28. That's not our biggest one. So we have that many new people every night. I mean, just so many of the team members just show up, even if they don't have somebody there, just pouring in, helping like spread the conversation. We plan on 300 people in Lafayette. Whenever it is at 100, I was like, no, ma'am, I got all 3 rooms ready.
Awesome.
So we planned, just for you to come validate what they're hearing that just somebody new, a new face. So we have flyers all over. I've put them everywhere.
In April, how many brand new rising champs showed up at Epic just because of these mixers you started coming out of the Dallas event?
Had 14 that came to Epic.
Wow.
It's awesome. Yeah. They're doing it, B. So they're on fire. I'm excited that you're here and you can just kind of share with them a little bit.
Well, I mean, the amazing thing about that, and I think this is a business lesson, it's a life lesson, right? Is like consistency pays off. And I think that it's underestimated or it's undervalued how important consistency is in life or in building a business. And, I think that you should always have urgency and you should always be pushing yourself to do more on a daily basis. However, you also have to give some things time to grow. And I think all of us have heard, the whole parable of the bamboo tree, right? Has everyone ever not heard the parable of the bamboo tree? How you grow a bamboo tree, is when you plant the seeds, you have to water it every day. And it's a very fickle tree. If you miss one day and you don't water it, it'll die. And so what happens is when the farmer goes out to water it and they water the bamboo seeds, they have to fertilize it and take care of it. After an entire year of doing it, when they go out to the garden, they don't see anything, not even a sprout. And then they do that for the second year, every single day. And if they miss one day, the plant might die. It might not grow. And then the third year, they do the same thing. They don't see anything. All the way to the 4th year, and then they finally get a sprout. Then once they get that sprout, within 6 weeks, the bamboo tree grows to 97 feet. And, the whole philosophy behind it, if you haven't heard it, is, did the tree grow 97 feet in 6 weeks or 4.5 or 4 years in 6 weeks? Does that make sense? And so I love hearing that because about 1.5 years ago, I really got on my bandwagon about developing environments where community could fit in. And like, we all have different gifts. Some people feel very confident and comfortable on platforms like this or social media, and they create attraction. But the reality of it is that not everyone's going to feel comfortable doing that. And you have to create these environments to where people can, number one, start feeling comfortable with just the conversation, and they can start trusting the people that they're around, and they can start seeing real community. Because April, like you said, when you're doing those every week and that consistency of it, whether one person comes or 20 people come, people start realizing it's a real community. It's someone that they can actually fall back on. They have someone that's going to support them through it. It's something they can count on. And then it allows people to meet themselves at where they're at and grow through that process. And, you know, I think it's just so undervalued that, because a lot of people, they'll start doing something community-based, and if they don't get the results or the show out that they want after the first or second or third week, they stop. But listen, if you can just find one other person committed with you and just sticking with it, there's going to be value every time that you meet up. Even if the value is just spending time with like-minded individuals, it builds depth, right? Or it builds richness and depth in that relationship. And I think that if you survey people around the world, people are looking for that as much as they're looking for anything today, right? Yeah, we get this little bit of connectivity through social media, and it's exposed this human need that we have to be connected. And I think from a business perspective, if you look at anything that's going to create longevity or sustainability, there has to be more glue than just a transaction. And it's just a great environment to also build people's belief, you know, so that they can, I mean, you're only going to grow to the level you believe something can be built, right? Whether if it's a relationship, a business, whatever it might be. So anyway, I just love hearing that. Like, you know, and you don't need 40 people to show up to start making, because at the end of the day, when you do that, you're reaffirming your own desire, your own passion, your own goals, your own belief, right? When you do it. And so I think that's awesome. And it takes a lot of courage to do that and stay consistent with it. So anyway, I'm getting off my rant, but.
That wasn't always easy, because there was times that I thought like, oh my gosh, there was discouraging times where I was like, okay, let's don't do this again. This was kind of embarrassing because 2 people showed up, but we just stayed with it. And it's now they know every week we have that, and people just show up. So not even invited.
That's awesome.
That's great.
And I'm going to tell you, I think that's going to be huge dividends as you move down the road, because it's I just think people are looking for human connection more now than ever before, and it creates another layer of support in a new environment, and it allows people to feel comfortable or safe in that environment, right? And not everyone's going to love those, right? Some people are like, I don't want to go show up at any place, but other people are going to love it. And so I think that it's important to realize that you have different temperaments, talents, and convictions. You have different gift zones of everyone. And what you want to do is create an environment as a community to where people can show up and they can have success, you know, with any of the modalities. And then they also can realize, you know, for lack of a better term, that they can do it as well, right? That there's something for everyone. And so I think that's awesome.
Hey guys, while we have Brian on the call, does anybody have any questions for him?
Don't be shy. Don't be bashful.
Get in there, Cedar. No.
Somebody has to go.
I'll ask a question because I love this, but you know, Brian, if somebody really wants to dig in and champion this conversation, what do you think is the most important thing with, you know, their belief? I love how you talk about the 3 pillars.
Yeah. I mean, I think the 3 pillars is something that we design our entire layered learning program off of. But the real philosophy is to gain momentum in life or in personal power or whatever it is. Look, at the end of the day, I think it's important, and I've kind of been on this mantra because I don't think enough people understand what we're doing as a company or a brand. And I think it's very important because you have to align with it, really, right? And we probably haven't shouted it from the mountaintops enough. And I've been in business, for 20 plus years, and I've learned a lot. And the one thing that I've learned is that, look, we can all sell, and we can create a transaction, and we can make a little bit of money. But if we want to make a lot of money, create a lot of value, but more importantly, create some fulfillment, we have to really understand why we're doing what we're doing. Simon Sinek talks about it in his book, Why, right? If you take a look at a lot of philosophy books and you study a lot of the wealthiest people in the world, why do they continue to work the way that they work? Because there has to be seeded a greater sense of purpose that gives us fulfillment and happiness. And so, our goal is not just to sell ketones. Like, that's not what we're about at all. Like, that is a technology that we've introduced to the market. But our goal is to build a transcending brand. And in doing that, we actually have to have pillars that we operate by that actually support that. Like, what is our existence of being as a brand? Well, that's our vision and mission. That is our company's DNA. And it's to inspire people to be the best versions of themselves, right? And inspiration is like deep. I could talk about inspiration for the next hour if you guys want to stay on the phone that long. I don't think you do. But it is. Inspiration is different than motivation. Motivation's temporary. Inspiration is deep down in your gut, right? Inspiration is that thing that one day you wake up and it's this burning desire that that you're designed for greatness and that you have this desire to go for it. And you let all the voices in your head and all the bullshit out the door and you start stepping into your power in your light. Like, inspiration is realizing, hey, look, I have these 3 beautiful kids. I want to set an example for them. That is my why. And I know I'm better than how I'm performing. I got inspired when I heard David Goggins. You can go check out my Instagram. I played a couple of clips of him. I think we did on Prove It too. He spoke at our epic event. How many people were there, by the way? Listen, if you didn't feel his passion, you weren't alive or you weren't paying attention, right? He inspired me, but the reason he inspired me is because I felt his greatness. I felt the spirit of his greatness, and everyone in that room felt the same thing. But do you know why they felt it? It wasn't because of his talent. They felt that spirit of that greatness because it's inside each and every one of you as well. And I think that's what blows people away. Like, inspiration lasts forever, right? Motivation is temporary. We get our fixes of motivation all the time, but until we can become seated and saying, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing, this is why I'm not going to let anybody stop me, then ultimately we're not going to be able to tap into our true power of being able to see how far we can take something, right? The minute you tap into that, you start moving at a different pace and a different speed. And what I mean by different speed is this. Every one of us woke up today somewhere probably between the hours of 5 a.m. and 10 a.m., depending on who you are on the call. But the reality of it is we've all probably been up between 10 and 10. The question is, how productive were your hours since you've been awake? How many lives have you impacted? What type of legacy have you moved towards leaving behind? And a legacy is built based on consistency. It's not based on the result that you're getting immediately, right? Your consistency and your speed of going for it, that's what's inspiring other people, because other people can sense that greatness in you, that spirit of going for it, that tenacity. Have you ever been around someone where you're like, man, they're a go-getter? That's in each and every one of us too. And so that's like our brand's DNA. That's why we design, that's what we want our design to be, right? Is we want people to become inspired because of the examples that we're showing of average people, because we're all human beings. Every single one of us on this line, we've all started somewhere between scared and nervous. And we do it all the time at some point in life, whether we go into a new environment, we go into a new gym, we start a new business, whatever it might be. And the thing that's been in my head, and sometimes when I go on these conversations, I'm having the conversation with you that I'm having in my brain. So I appreciate you all bearing with me. I don't mean to be talking at you, but these are the things that go through my brain is like, look, so many people operate based on people's opinions, right? And if you let other people's opinions dictate the direction you're going, what you're doing is showing your insecurities of who you are. The minute you let go of other people's opinions and you're secure in who you are and you dare to be you, and you say, that's when you're on your way to inspiring other people. And that's why we have our layered learning program, and everything that centers around our layered learning program. We have tactical training. There's specific techniques that you can use to do a conference call or a Zoom or a live that will get you more effective results, right? Like, look, I mean, I wrote this down, did a call today. We're talking about do's and don'ts of when you start speaking on a conference call. I mean, there's tactical training that all of us can learn. We can learn that by just going to the internet and researching it. I mean, resources, you have unlimited resources at your fingertips, more than any time in human history. However, they do not become a muscle or a skill of yours until you apply them and create your own experience from that tactical experience or that tactical skill. Does that make sense? The only way that you develop tactical skills is first you have to develop the right mindset and the right inspiration. And so everything in our layered learning program layers tactical skills based around human emotional connection that we understand human DNA and behavior to rewire some of the limiting beliefs that you have in your brain. We all have them, right? We all have those two wolves that we talk about. Like if I walk in the other room, we had this magnificent mural painted on the wall, and there's two wolves. And it goes to the old parable of the little Indian boy talking to the Indian chief. And the Indian chief was telling him about these two wolves that are constantly fighting. And one of the wolves represented everything bad and, mean. And this wolf literally was, everything that was toxic in the world. And he was greedy. And, it was a diminishing aura that this wolf put out. And it was always in a constant battle with the other wolf. And the Indian chief said, it's always hard to keep these wolves both alive at the same time, because the other wolf was the polar opposite. The other wolf was about everything that was magnificent and great. And, it was all positivity. It was a light, right? It was positive. And so the little boy asked the Indian chief, he said, well, which one wins? And the Indian chief looked at the little boy and said, whichever one you feed the most. And so what Abigail asked me a few seconds ago is that, we have three pillars, and look at this from a very specific business, right? This business model and what we've done with community-based marketing of redefining and helping people understand what real community can be to be a driving force behind a brand. It starts with each individual on this phone, right? Or on this Zoom. Community-based marketing starts with each individual, but it's seated in where your belief is. And so you can only build something to the level that you believe it can be built. And if you look at our business, we have three pillars that represent our brand. And if any one of those pillars wavers, the brand will fall. Your business will fall. Look at it as a three-legged stool. If you take one leg out on a three-legged stool, what happens to the stool? It collapses. So one of the pillars is everything that has to do with our business, with the Prove It business, right? So if you don't believe in our company, that's the ownership, the leadership in the company, you know what? The stool's going to fall. It's going to shorten your longevity. If you don't believe in our technology, our science, if you don't believe in our DNA, our purpose, our existence of being, it's going to affect the way how fast you engage and move and how much of your own power you tap into. So that's one pillar. The second pillar that we talk about, so what we want to do is we constantly want to reinforce your belief in what it is that we're doing. We're all in this together, right? And so we build educational steps on our product, on our DNA, on our leadership, on our science, on our technology. Then the second pillar has everything to do with our industry, community-based marketing. Why this is so great, why you can do it, why, so we can dispel any of the negative associations people might have with home-based business or direct sales or network marketing. That keeps probably 50% of the people, it self-sabotages their own success with what we're doing. And then finally, the last pillar is the pillar of yourself, right? is the own beliefs that you have and what you can accomplish. I can say this, I underestimated where we're at as a company and how big what we are doing is. I underestimated it. I haven't thought big enough for the last 3 years. That's been my biggest mistake in the last 3 years, and I've made a lot of them. How about you, though? Have you underestimated your power? See, I think that we all put these limiting beliefs and these limited gauges on what we can accomplish and what we can inspire and what we can actually, show up and how we can show up. And so, the last one that I think we all have to work on constantly reinforcing is the belief in ourselves, right? And I think that that's the first mandate we all have to start moving forward to as we're stepping up as a business leader, a business achiever, is number one, you have to know where you're at. You have to see where you're at, just like in a map if you're going anywhere, but you have to be true to yourself. And I see so many people that they're not true to themselves. And how can you ever grow if you don't know where your starting point is, right? And then the second thing we have to be guarded of is we cannot see things worse than they are. If we see something worse than it is, or we make something worse than it is, it's a self-preservation mechanism we have intellectually, because what we all do is we all instead of saying we quit, we find a reason to let ourselves off the hook. Have you ever done that? Have you thought about it? Because we make something worse than it is. We don't see it as it is. We see it worse than it is. So we can say, we throw our hands up. And then I think the final thing is what's so important is we have to have a vision bigger than ourselves. And this is what's so important about what April was talking about in community-based marketing. You have to have a compelling vision and you have to see something better than it is so you can strive for it, right? And with the community-based marketing, I think it's so important because people want to be a part of something bigger than they are. And the cool thing is, I don't even know if Abigail has realized this. The cool thing is do you realize we have touched 20, 30, 40, 50 million people have become aware of ketones as a superior fuel source because of what we started 2.5 years ago. That's the truth. Doesn't mean every single one of them have been a part of Prove It or they've done a transaction, but here's the thing. We've brought value to that many people in the world. And that's why we were able to reward intangible money over $100 million last year. Right? It's because we are focused on bringing that value to the world. And so we're all a part of that. Your presence matters. Just like April, when you show up, you don't know what your presence does for someone else. You just gave them confidence, right? Just for showing up. And I think sometimes we underestimate that. Gary Vaynerchuk always talks about the most undervalued commodity in the world is attention. And it's not just seeking other people's attention, but it's giving people your attention. Don't underestimate your presence. It does matter. And something that, we've said since day one. And so remember this, that people have faith in those that have faith in other people is, and that faith in anything that you do has to be reinforced. And that's what develops your beliefs, your core beliefs. And so, what I would say is you guys keep believing in each other, and sometimes we need someone else to believe in us more than we believe in ourselves to get us over the hump. Because life serves us curveballs. But I can tell you one of the greatest gifts you can give anyone is seeing greatness in them and telling them they can do it. And that's what LCD is all about. That's what we're getting ready to go into our next event. It's about creating situational coaching dynamics to where you can identify the situation where sometimes people need a pat on the ass, a high five, a support, but other times they need high directive. They need tactical directive so they can start moving the ball down the field. And I think so many times we get caught up. I was just talking about this on a Facebook Live I did a few minutes ago, that we get so caught up on being likable. There's a big difference in being likable and leading other people. Likeable falls into that opinion category again. And that's something that I've really rebuked about this industry since I've gained that awareness, is that sometimes when we cater to others, we think we're doing them a favor, but we're really not. When I performed the best in athletics, it was the coaches that pushed me the hardest when I didn't want to be pushed because they knew I had more in me. Does that make sense? It wasn't the coaches that let me off the hook. And to me, business isn't a popularity concept. popularity contest. And, you know, I don't think life is about being popular. I think ultimately where happiness is an inside game. And sometimes we need people to be real with us, because that's what transparency is about. Transparency isn't about likability, right? Transparency is used as a buzzword in today's market because that's what everybody's saying that they want. But do they really want transparency? And so I think one of the great things about what we're doing as a community is like, look, I won't judge you if you don't judge me. But let's come in with the same common goal so we can go attack it and achieve it. It doesn't mean we're going to get there the same way. There's different paths, but your talents and your convictions and your personality are going to complement mine, and mine are going to be used. We're not trying everyone to be the same thing. We want everybody to show up as they are, but embrace them as they are. And so that's what our brand's all about. And that's what, to me, the belief pillars are all about. They have to support that, you know, the essence of existing. And I think so many people sometimes, because of all the noise in the world, sometimes we need time to listen to ourselves, like time just to listen and relax and realize, what are our beliefs, you know? And we all know them instinctively. Like when I heard David Goggins speak, man, I mean, it's still ringing inside of me, right? He sparked a flame that was already there for me to go higher, go harder. Like, don't make some of the puny excuses that I make. So anyway, so that's my thoughts on like the belief pillars. And that to me is the core of this business. Like our business model is a platform. However, you're the driving force. The platform's going to reward you unlimited. I mean, we have people making anywhere from $50 a week to $5,000 a week. We have people making, you know, $20,000 a year to $2.5 million a year. The only variable is the person, the way they believe, and the speed at which they engage. And the speed at which you engage is in direct proportion to the level that you believe. Does that make sense to you guys? So like I can look at every one of you on here, and I don't know about any of your businesses, right? But I know if we were laser coaching with each other, April, the intensity and the tenacity at which you attack this business is based and predicated on the level you believe that this is going to be successful for you. The minute you start doubting it, the minute you start slowing down. And momentum is gained based on the more you believe. The more you're doing those community marketing events, the more you see people showing up, the stronger you become. Am I right? And that's a cool thing. But guess what? That principle isn't something that I'm going aha to you all. We all know that subconsciously, and we've all experienced that at some point in our lives or some aspect of our lives. And so like I see, Anna, all of the pictures behind you, it's amazing when someone's going through a transformation and they start seeing results, man, they start getting more disciplined. They start working more like, you know, the anchor becomes a lot lighter and they start becoming their own energy. Like that's a great definition of a leader to me. A leader is someone that can self-sustain their own energy. They don't need motivation behind them because they found that inspiration, but that inspiration was backed with their belief. Does that make sense? So anyway, I'm excited. I would love to get down to Louisiana. I think it's fun and no one's invited me. So maybe
you're invited
sometime soon.
Just let us know when. We'll be here for you. We'll have a party for you.
It's crawfish season. Come on.
They told me I'm going to be eating crawfish, so I don't know what that means, but I'm down.
Cards event in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Can you speak a little Cajun for me?
Yes.
What do they call it? What do they call the Cajuns, you know, when they speak
French?
No, not French.
Creole?
Like it's like the
Listen to Phil talk. Listen, talk.
Coon.
I can't talk like that.
What is
He
it?
talked. I said, listen to him talk. However that is, that's how they talk.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
He's talking about coon
No.
ass.
Coon ass. Yes.
Coon ass. You know,
That's
that's
what
what
I'm
you call
talking
it, coon
about right
ass.
there. Can he do it?
You can't hear me? I'm trying to listen. we talk like that down here. You know, this and that and those. You know, it's no T's, it's all D's.
That's what I'm talking about. And we're going to get Harry Connick Jr. to perform at Keto Academy too, by the way.
Yeah, but that's what you said at the Christmas party.
Hey, listen, don't you yell at me.
The curtain never raised.
You all just didn't pay attention. He came out and everybody's gone.
Brian, I have a question when you met with Gary Vee. Because I heard you say in the COC call that, and I heard it too when I saw him in New York in November, that he's against network marketing. I wonder if you changed his mind about it.
No, I don't think. No, I mean, I actually, we had a conversation about it. I don't think you're going to change his mind. The thing that I think people hear what they want to hear, right? So he doesn't believe in the business model because it turns into an opportunity-based game to where it's not built off a brand ID, a value in a product. And so he doesn't like the fact that people get in feeling like that they're going to get rich for doing nothing. So if you hear Gary Vee speak, he's very much about hustle, work your ass off. You can't get anything without a ton of effort. The thing that he rebukes about this industry is a lot of times people, they want to tell someone that they can get in and get rich and not do anything. I mean, they might not say it directly like that, but the principles of the success are the same. So you're not serving anyone by saying, oh, just get in, get a couple people under you, and you're going to be making $3 million a year. I'm not saying a lottery ticket can happen anywhere. So, I think that the essence is that no one builds it like a real business. It always falls into this game instead of, if everyone on this call starts looking at this as a real business and put real business attributes behind it, you're not only going to make more money than you've ever made, you're going to create something sustainable, right? And so what does that mean? Well, that means focus on the attributes that we have of community-based marketing. Focus on the value and the education, right? Focus on the brand. Focus on, how you're getting the brand out there to where it's not just focus on saying, get in, you're going to get rich. But we've done that, right? That was one of our conversations too. The average customer to rep ratio in network marketing is usually 3 reps to every 1 customer. Do you hear me? We're doing 30 customers to every 1 promoter. And so I think part of it is because we're just coming at it as a different conversation, and I think part of it is because to me, I want to transcend that association. And, he said, look, I don't judge the industry. I know people made millions of dollars. He said, I just don't understand the sustainability of a model that they never want to focus on the brand and the important things. They want to focus on and then they become victim of the person that's pitching the opportunity. And so he said, but man, he knew who we were. He said, but listen, my hat's off to you. You've been able to attract friends of mine. They're taking your product. He was very complimentary. And he said, but build it like a brand. Build it like a big brand. It's kind of a challenge. He might be at more. We'll see. So
I'll be so happy. I'm sure everyone over here will be too.
Awesome. Brian, thank you so much for your time tonight. We really appreciate you. You brought the heat. I didn't know we were going to get all that. So we luckily got a recording. It was awesome. I'm fired up. Y'all fired up?
Well, let me know if there's anything I can do for anybody on the phone. I'm not saying that lightly at all. If we want to do any Facebook Lives or Zooms, just schedule it. I'd love to come down to Louisiana, speak some coon ass, eat some crawdads, whatever we want to do down there. I don't know what y'all do. Listen, we talk hillbilly in Kentucky. So, no, but I really would. I love it down there. So keep doing what you guys are doing. And listen, look, fall in love with the process. Don't the results that you're getting, no matter where you're at, those are the results that you're supposed to get to continue to grow, right? And that's what's so important is we're all getting the results that we're meant to get so we can learn from them and grow. You choose whether you want to learn from them and have that be your power. Everyone, your run's going to come if you stay consistent. You talk about Gary Vee, he talks about that all the time, right? It always takes longer than you anticipate, but you can't let off the gas, you know, and I think that's uber important. And if you've played athletics, I know Abigail has, and you have one of the most tenacious competitors in your corner in Abigail that's willing to run through a brick wall. And the thing that tells me about anybody, you know, athletics served me well, right? And the reason it did is because it taught me dedication, discipline, teamwork, sacrifice. It also taught me, you know, I mean, the champion philosophy isn't just about getting the gold. It's about being willing to go through the process of it. And so competition gives you all the ability to be the best. And the number one person you're always competing with is yourself, right? We don't realize it, but it's that mental ping pong match sometimes we have here. Here's the thing I'd say is don't let yourself off the hook. Don't beat yourself up. Excuse me, I'm drinking bubbly water. Give yourself a high five every day and get excited about the run that you're going on and just listen. I mean, listen, everyone isn't going to be a high achiever, but everyone doesn't need to be a high achiever to have a high level of purpose, a high level of fulfillment, right? And fulfillment comes when you're pursuing your better. Fulfillment comes when you have a worthwhile goal, dream, or opportunity. You can research any person that's been wealthy and then they were miserable and they killed themselves, right? At some point, they lost that edge of going for something, like having a goal, right? And so, so with that being said, I appreciate you, Abigail, more than you know. I can't wait to get to know the rest of you. I can't see everyone on here, but I really can't wait. I appreciate everything that you guys are doing. And remember, we're all human beings. We're going to make more mistakes, but we're in this together. And we're making them, and we're not afraid to make them because we want to do better. We want to set a higher standard and transcend the industry, you know, like you were talking about. So if there's anything I can do, y'all don't hesitate to reach out.
Awesome. Thanks, B.
Thank you. Thanks, Abigail.
Hey, let's stay on for just a minute here. Thank you guys all for getting on tonight. You guys, I'm so glad so many could make that. Was that not incredible? Was that awesome?
Yes.
So I'm like all fired up. I just want to touch base real quick on one topic that I just love mentioning before coming into a market, okay? And we've done some Zoom trainings on this. I think there's even a YouTube video on it, but it's a concept called recruiting to invite versus inviting to recruit, okay? You guys have about almost 1 week, a little less than 1 week to really make an impact in your business and in your community by leveraging me like a little tool, okay? It's not me, guys. I'd have to pull in someone else in my community because you can't be a prophet in your hometown. So y'all put my ad pictures up. They aren't even there like that anymore, but it looks good, and go ahead and do that. I'm glad I had the picture for you. But, you know, they make good flyers. They put someone else, you know, on a pedestal, and we build into that person, whoever it is, coming into the marketplace. And this is your opportunity to, when you don't, you know, you can't get people there in group messages. You can't hardly get them there in text. I want to challenge each and every one of you before your head hits the pillow tonight. I want you to make a personal goal of how many people you're going to bring with you to that mixer. I promise you, I will bring heat. I will bring energy. I will bring the conversation, and people will want ketones. All right. Do not be sitting there in that room going through your wish list, or what we call a chicken list, of who you wish you would have called or gotten the guts to call. All right. So make a goal, literally get out a piece of paper and a pen and write down the names and you hold yourself accountable based on your conviction and your belief to calling and making it a personal invitation. Okay, now here's the little trick and the technique. If you're inviting somebody to introduce them to the ketone conversation, then that's what they call inviting to recruit. What you want to do is recruit them to come hear the conversation and ask them who they would know who would want to join them. That's called recruiting to invite. So you're not bringing one person in hope. Every person that you pick up the phone and call, you're trying to get them to become the inviter. So if you have 20 people on your call list and you extended them the offer of asking them who they could call and helping them make those reach outs and getting them excited about who in their life already needs this, and sharing the campfire video and the conversation, and come see this girl. She had abs. Don't say had. I'll keep my down. I kind of got abs, but they're not like that. But come here and come join in this. And who do you know that you could bring? Who do you know that's struggling with fat loss or with their hormones or with aches in their body? Start getting that person's wheels spinning that aren't even in the conversation yet. And that is called inviting, recruiting to invite. I always get that. And I really got to think through it every time I say it. So that's your challenge. And turn in your goals to your sponsor or your leader. Say, I have less than a week and I will have 10 brand new people there to the conversation. And that may look like you called 4 and they all called, 1 or 2, but you helped that process along by giving them that directive. So it'll be a great time. I'm so excited to come to your town and see you guys. I'm loving this culture. I'm loving this tribe, the energy. And I just think y'all are on the cuff of explosion. And I'm so glad we got to hear from Brian tonight, put you guys on the map, and we're just going to double, triple. We're just going to keep pouring fuel on your fire. Okay. So thank you for getting this organized. Thank you for showing up tonight. And I'm excited to come next week and have some crawfish. And see y'all. Okay. All right.
Thanks, Abigail.
All right. Good night.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.